Everybody's already familiar with the old saying that if you give a person a fish, you feed them for a day, and if you teach the person to fish, then you feed them for a lifetime. But we so often hear it phrased that way, which I think is not maybe as useful, since many people are not primarily teachers, but are more likely to often be, in many situations through life, on the receiving end of teaching than the one doing the teaching. So maybe it's more useful for us to turn that around, of rather than asking someone for a fish, learning how to ask them to fish. So for example, in Gamkedo Club, out of the core values that our members practice, one of them is persistence. And right from our handbook, I'll read to you kind of how we have it phrased. We don't ask others to do it for us. We seek help with learning how to do it, so next time we'll need less assistance. Right? Because it's not about the fact that you did something where you can do it without help. So often, if we're expanding our skills, growing our abilities, we are going to have to ask somebody out there for some sort of feedback, input, or something. But it's the difference between whether or not what we're doing is going to increase our dependence on somebody else or increase our independence and our ability to do it on our own. Some people get the wrong idea that because our club is fundamentally a collaborative environment, that it's about dependence on one another. But our processes, our attitudes, our principles are really built around how do we maximize our independence counterintuitively through experience, working with others, seeking help from others, because all the time at the core of it is how do we improve our ability to not ask someone to give us a fish, but how to ask someone to help us learn how to fish. And the same sort of thing, of course, can be applied in any pathway, no matter what you're a student in, no matter what skill area you're trying to train for, that it doesn't actually help you to have someone else fix the problem, or it might help you that one time. What's going to help you longer term is if you can help figure out how you can do it for yourself. And there's certain fields where obviously we're always going to be relying on some sort of expert beyond ourselves for many things of our lives, right? I mean, I trust my electrician, I trust my auto mechanic, trust my doctor, and so on. There's functioning inside society is going to require leaning on some others for some expertise outside of our own. But that if what you're thinking about, what you're focusing on, is the area that you want to do better, that you want to get better at game programming or game design or drawing or writing or business or whatever it might be, that it really does come down to, again, thinking, for the old kind of saying about the fisherman, from the side of the person who's either receiving a fish or learning to fish. And, understandably too, that depending on how you're gaining that knowledge, it is often more difficult to teach someone to fish than to hand them a fish or sell them one. And so, notwithstanding, it might take more time and take more energy. You don't want to put an imposition on somebody else of saying, train me in this thing you've spent many years doing. But obviously, structures exist for that. It's part of what tutors are for, part of what help is for, support communities, online resources, people like myself in the line of work that I'm in, teachers, professors, and so on. Trainers are in the business of helping people learn how to fish rather than giving them the fish, because long term that can be an investment, so we're not having to turn around every time we need a placeholder asset, asking somebody for help. Every time we want some sort of code functionality in our game that we don't know how to do, asking someone else to do it for us. That builds up, that increases that dependence on somebody else instead of increasing our independence and our ability to do it on our own. That's it for the day. I'm curious to hear down below in the comments if you've got stories about times when you've had the opportunity to learn how to increase your independence and how you went about learning to do the thing rather than just relying on, maybe before that point, having someone else give it to you or do it for you. That's it for the day. Thanks always for tuning in. Have an everyday for y'all tomorrow.